June 2023, IndiGo places an order for 500 Airbus A320 family aircraft, the largest single purchase agreement in the history of commercial aviation. A year later, they added 30 wide-body A350-900s. Then, in October 2025, converted 30 more purchase rights into firm orders. Total backlog, more than 1,000 aircraft yet to be delivered, stretching well into the next decade. But here's what makes no sense. IndiGo isn't Emirates, it isn't Singapore Airlines, it's a low-cost carrier, budget fares, no frills. While it has introduced a business-class product, the orders still do not make sense. Somehow, this Indian airline placed a single order valued at over $55 billion at list prices, aircraft that most carriers couldn't afford to finance even if they wanted to. Even more remarkably, IndiGo has historically avoided owning the planes it flies. Of its 440-plus aircraft, almost 400 have been leased from third parties. The airline built one of the youngest fleets in the world while keeping aircraft off its owned asset base. Though that strategy is now evolving. So, how does a budget airline afford to order 1,000 aircraft? The numbers alone seem impossible. In 2005, IndiGo placed its first order with Airbus, 100 aircraft worth $6 billion at list prices. The company hadn't even operated a single commercial flight. The founders, Rakesh Gangwal and Rahul Bhatia, were betting everything on a market that was still in its infancy. India's aviation infrastructure was limited. Annual domestic passenger traffic was a fraction of what it would become. 3 years later, IndiGo was profitable. By 2011, they ordered another 180 aircraft in a $15 billion deal. In 2014, 250 more planes worth roughly $26 billion. In 2019, 300 aircraft worth approximately $33 billion. Each order larger than the last, each announcement raising eyebrows across the global aviation industry. Then came June 2023. At the Paris Air Show, IndiGo's new CEO, Peter Elbers, announced the 500 aircraft deal that would cement the airline's position as the world's largest A320 family customer. Estimated list price value over $55 billion. The order book now stretches past 2035, deliveries of aircraft that haven't even been built yet, for routes that haven't even been planned. To put this in perspective, the entire current fleet of British Airways is roughly 300 aircraft. The conventional wisdom about airline economics says this shouldn't be possible. Aircraft are extraordinarily expensive. Based on historical catalog pricing, a single A320neo carries a list price of $110.6 million. An A321neo is $129.5 million. An A350-900 reaches $317.4 million. Actual transaction prices are confidential and heavily discounted. But even with bulk discounts that could knock off the price of an aircraft around 50%, the capital requirements are staggering. Traditional airline financing works like this. Carriers either purchase aircraft outright, tying up billions in capital and carrying depreciation on their balance sheets. They take on massive debt to fund acquisitions, or lease them from aircraft lessors in sale-and-leaseback transactions. The choice to finance or own the aircraft can strain balance sheets, reduce financial flexibility, and create vulnerability during downturns. Yet, IndiGo has somehow accumulated the largest order book in aviation history, while maintaining one of the healthiest balance sheets in the industry. It generates strong positive cash flow, it's remained consistently profitable, while competitors like Kingfisher Airlines and Jet Airways collapsed. Air India, before the privatization, had also struggled. The answer isn't luck, it isn't government subsidies, it's a financial mechanism that transforms how aircraft ownership actually works. To understand how IndiGo can afford 1,000 aircraft, we need to examine a financing structure called sale-and-leaseback. Here's how it works. An airline like IndiGo negotiates a massive order directly with Airbus. Because of the order's size and the long-standing relationship, they secure significant discounts from list prices. Industry estimates suggest these discounts can reach 40 to 50% or more for buyers of IndiGo's scale. When an aircraft is ready for delivery, IndiGo takes possession briefly, then immediately sells it to a leasing company. The critical detail: IndiGo sells the aircraft for cash. Industry sources and financial analysts suggest airlines can make some profit per transaction. The leasing company then leases the same aircraft back to the airline with monthly lease fees, typically for terms of 6 to 12 years. IndiGo never actually owns the aircraft in any meaningful sense. It appears on its balance sheet only briefly during the transaction window, yet it gets to operate it for a number of years. The capital risk transfers to the lessor, the residual value risk transfers to the lessor. If aircraft values decline, that's the lessor's problem. IndiGo pays monthly lease fees, but avoids the crushing debt load that traditional ownership requires. It's not just operating an airline. IndiGo is operating an aircraft trading business that happens to fly passengers. This is precisely why IndiGo can order 1,000 aircraft without owning 1,000 aircraft. It is not buying planes, it's securing delivery slots, negotiating favorable prices, and flipping the assets to investors who want stable, long-term returns from aircraft ownership. The lessors are happy because A320 family aircraft are among the most liquid assets in aviation. They can be easily placed with other operators worldwide. But here's where IndiGo's model becomes truly strategic. The sale and leaseback structure is available to any airline. What makes IndiGo different is how systematically it's optimized every variable in the equation. Start with fleet simplicity. IndiGo operates almost exclusively Airbus A320 family aircraft. Same pilots, same maintenance procedures, same spare parts inventory, same training programs, same ground equipment. When you're operating over 400 aircraft of essentially the same type, the economics compound dramatically. Consider what this means operationally. A pilot certified on the A320neo can fly the A321neo with minimal additional training. The cockpit layouts are nearly identical. This means IndiGo can shuffle crew across different variants without the costly retraining that mixed fleet operators face. Crew scheduling becomes simpler. Maintenance costs drop because technicians specialize in one aircraft family rather than spreading expertise across multiple types. IndiGo doesn't need separate inventories for multiple aircraft types. The same engines, avionics, landing gear components, and auxiliary systems serve the entire fleet. Bulk purchasing of standardized parts reduces unit costs. Inventory management becomes straightforward. When an aircraft needs a part, it's almost certainly available. This uniformity does something else critical for the sale and leaseback model. It makes IndiGo's aircraft extremely liquid in the secondary market. Lessors love A320s because they can easily place them with other operators if IndiGo ever defaults or returns them early. The A320 family is the most widely operated aircraft family in the world. If a lessor needs to repossess a plane from IndiGo, it can have it flying for another carrier within weeks, or part them out for spares. This liquidity reduces perceived risk. Then there's timing. IndiGo places orders years in advance, locking in delivery slots when there will still be demand. It commits to aircraft before other carriers recognize the demand. Airlines have been desperate for aircraft as they face decade-long waits. IndiGo had already secured its position in the queue. The 2023 order locks in deliveries through 2035, positioning IndiGo to receive new aircraft even as competitors scramble for slots. The bulk ordering creates another advantage most people overlook. When you're committing to 1,000 aircraft over 2 decades, Airbus treats you differently. You get pricing concessions impossible for smaller customers. You get priority in slot allocation. You get flexibility to swap between A320neo, A321neo, and A321XLR variants as your network evolves. You get dedicated account teams. Each aircraft becomes a negotiating chip, not just a purchase. Consider the mathematics of scale. If IndiGo saves even 5% on unit pricing compared to a smaller carrier ordering 50 aircraft, it has generated hundreds of millions in competitive advantage before a single passenger boards. Spread across 1,000 aircraft, even small per-unit savings compound into billions. The Indian market provides the final piece. India is now the world's third-largest aviation market, with 174 million passengers in 2024. The country surpassed Japan and trails only the United States and China. Domestic traffic has more than doubled since 2014. IATA projects annual passenger traffic will triple by 2044, 425 million journeys per year. IndiGo currently holds roughly 64% of the Indian domestic market. The demand isn't speculative. It's visible in load factors, in traffic growth, and in the expanding middle class, choosing air travel over lengthy rail journeys between cities, separated by over 1,000 kilometers. Mumbai to Delhi, Bengaluru to Delhi, Ahmedabad to Varanasi. This is why the 1,000 aircraft order isn't reckless, it's calculated market capture. IndiGo is betting that Indian aviation will continue growing faster than almost any market in the world, and it intends to own that growth before competitors can respond. But IndiGo's ambitions extend far beyond domestic dominance. On January 6, 2026, IndiGo took delivery of India's first Airbus A321 XLR. The aircraft landed at Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport the following day. The A321 XLR represents a new category of commercial aircraft. With a range of 8,700 kilometers, it can reach destinations that previously required expensive wide-body jets. But with narrow-body economics, IndiGo has 40 on firm order, with 9 expected in 2026 alone. The inaugural route, Athens. Starting on the 23rd of January 2026, IndiGo began operating direct flights from Mumbai to Athens. Delhi followed the next day, 3 times weekly from each city. The choice of Athens is strategic. The route is long enough to demonstrate the XLR's capabilities, but not so demanding that payload restrictions become punitive. Greece attracts substantial Indian tourism. IndiGo isn't alone in recognizing this opportunity. Aegean Airlines announced it would launch competing service from Athens to Delhi in March 2026, with Mumbai following in May, also using A321 XLRs. But Aegean's configuration tells a different story. 138 seats, with 24 lie-flat business class suites, versus IndiGo's 195 seats, with 12 business class seats. Same aircraft, completely different philosophies. One is a European carrier attempting long-haul premium service. The other is a cost machine extending its formula to intercontinental routes. The XLR is just the badge. IndiGo has 60 Airbus A350-900s on order, with deliveries starting in 2027. These wide-body jets will unlock true long-haul markets: North America, Australia, and destinations where even the XLR's range falls short. IndiGo isn't waiting for those deliveries. Through damp and/or wet lease agreements with Norse Atlantic Airways, the airline has already begun operating Boeing 787-9 Dreamliners on routes to Manchester, Amsterdam, Copenhagen, and London Heathrow. It has allowed IndiGo to learn the complexities of intercontinental flying, secure airport slots, and build distribution partnerships before its own wide-bodies arrive. 6 787s operating under the IndiGo brand, serving routes that Air India has long considered its protected territory. The rebuilt Tata-owned Air India ordered 470 aircraft of its own in 2023, A350s, Boeing 787s, 777s, a full-service global rebuild against IndiGo's cost leader expansion. India's international aviation market is about to become a battlefield. The 1,000 aircraft order now makes sense. IndiGo has engineered a system where ordering more aircraft actually generates cash rather than consuming it. Each delivery becomes a profit opportunity through sale and leaseback. Each bulk commitment unlocks better unit economics. Each aircraft added to the fleet strengthens the negotiating position for the next round. The scale itself becomes the strategy. This isn't traditional airline expansion, it's financial arbitrage disguised as fleet planning. The strategy carries real risks. Lease payments must be made regardless of demand fluctuations. If Indian aviation growth slows dramatically, IndiGo would face fixed obligations against declining revenue. Currency fluctuations affect lease payments, denominated in dollars, while revenue comes in rupees. The long-haul expansion adds new complexity. International routes require different economics than domestic flying. Premium cabin products demand investment. Competition against established carriers like Air India and the Gulf Airlines will be fierce. The wet lease arrangements with Norse Atlantic and Turkish Airlines, while providing immediate capacity, also decrease dependencies on third parties. but IndiGo has built something that competitors cannot easily replicate. The delivery slots are secured through 2035, the lease relationships with major lessors are established, the operational infrastructure supports the scale, the market position is entrenched. A new entrant attempting to match IndiGo's scale would face a decade-long wait just to access comparable aircraft quantities, by which time IndiGo will have added another 500 planes. The question was never how IndiGo affords 1,000 planes. The question is why more airlines haven't figured out that ordering aircraft isn't the same as buying them. In an industry where capital intensity has bankrupted giants from Pan Am to Jet Airways, where legacy carriers struggle under pension obligations and unionized workforces and aging fleets, IndiGo discovered that the path to dominance runs through understanding what you don't need to own. Hey, before you go, the YouTube algorithm thinks you're going to like this video next, so why not check it out?